Hello, MSOE fans, and welcome to the Raider Report, where we sit down with MSOE coaches to discuss all things Raider athletics, from game reactions to recruiting news and everything in between. The Raider Report has all the behind-the-scenes details and news you want. This week, Bill Massoels returns to give us an update on track as they head into conference. And I am joined once again by recurring guest, Bill Massoels. Bill, welcome back.
Thanks for having me, Greg.
Alrighty, Coach. Before we get into track, I got to ask you the athletic director questions. We got to get the formalities out of the way. Giving Day was on April 18th. Talk to me a little bit about how that went for athletics.
I mean, outstanding. You know, we as a department raised $220,000, and really impressed and happy with all the coaches and the staff and Dr. Valley and Advancement's help. And I mean, we knocked it out of the park and couldn't be prouder of the folks here.
And we got to give kudos to some of our athletic teams, both soccer teams, women's volleyball. Some of those skits, if you want to call it, they were putting out on social media were really creative and really funny. I think that definitely helped the cause.
Yeah, one of the things we talked about was sharing that with each other, and then your department have that house, so then it blasts out just from your department because they were pretty cool. So
yeah. That was awesome to see. So we had women's lax just wrapped up their first season. We're gearing up for the first women's hockey season later this year. Women's wrestling was just announced as an associate member in the CCIW, just like men's wrestling. Is there any breaking news you can drop on me right now? I've seen flag football's gaining momentum in the NAC. Seems like there's always something new around the corner here.
Yeah, flag football's not going to happen here. We'll start men's and women's bowling next year. Probably want to have a full team, but in the process of hiring or beginning the process of interviewing to hire. So we'll add those two sports. But yeah, it's a great time to be in athletics at MSOE with the growth that we're having and the success we're having. And I think that lends to the Giving Day total that we got as well.
For sure. So now let's get to the fun stuff. Let's get into track and all the nonsense that I bring to the show. I overhear you talking with your athletes a lot about the visualization of success and the power of a positive mindset. A lot of times I hear the line from you when your head is going down to hit the pillow, you want to visualize, the glory, if you will. When you visualize success as a coach, what is it that you picture? Is it just a stack of gold medals? Is it a little certificate that says Coach of the Year in the NAC? What do you see?
Yeah, honestly, it has nothing to do with track. My success is if I can take a young adult to adulthood and help them grow through their 4 years here, see that maturation, see that growth, put them in the right position, upon graduation for that job, for that life lesson, for all those things. That's really success. It has absolutely nothing to do with track and field. Now, that doesn't mean we don't want to win. You came into my office and we're looking at scoring the outdoor conference meeting. I mean, we're committed to that. Don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, that really doesn't mean, if I can steal Jim Moreline, diddly poo in the grand scheme of things. And so I say that. Sometimes I regret saying that, and I mean that because many, if not all of our freshmen don't say anything their first semester, even their first year here. And then they get comfortable and then they're themselves. And sometimes I wish I could reel that back and go, man, it was so nice when you didn't say anything. But seriously, to see them grow from a young adult to adulthood is really what our jobs are here.
And you hear that talking point a lot with Nick Saban, who just retired. He says that with NIL, especially at the D1 level, not so much down on our level, but you're kind of losing that, and it's becoming about money, and it's not becoming about preparing young adults for the real world. So that's awesome to hear. I had Claudia on a few weeks back, and she talked to me about how the most common injuries at MSOE are often these overwork injuries, with athletes not getting enough rest. How are you guys holding up this season, and how do you approach practice and competition during these busy academic weeks like finals?
So, step one, we're holding up a lot better outdoor than we did indoor. I equate that to many things. One is the mental preparation, which after cross country, I think we missed an opportunity to get an at-large bid. anytime you fail, you look in the mirror, and that's the first place you go. And I thought we didn't do enough mental preparedness, and that's why we're doing it. Part of it is the tight turns on the track. Part of it is the rest mode. So what we're doing this week is, I told them all this week, we don't need to go to the well. We don't need to get any rippies. We just need a little muscle memory. And so what that does is it allows that body to recover because they don't need to recover as much. Say Evan Plackerman is, typically we'd want him to run like 1070s in the 100 in training. I looked at him and said, let's just break 11. And so because your body's not having to produce as much and work as hard, you don't need as much rest. And that equates into the last week of, the second to last week of school, and then last week, next week, and then in the finals. And
right into your grand scheme.
Yeah.
So you've been doing this for a while now. I wanted to kind of ask you, as a former cross-country athlete, kind of compare and contrast maybe even teams from your early coaching days. How has the athlete evolved in track? Like if you were to compare, like would your athletes that you raced with back in the day, would they fit in right on this team? Would your guys fit in on your team back in the day? Or is there,
Yeah, a lot of they've gotten faster, they've gotten bigger and stronger. So the training regimen is different. I'm tired of hearing, people say, well, they're going to break 2 hours in the marathon on the men's side because of the shoe. That's part of it, but can we give some props to those folks who are busting their keister and working at it? So, I think all of that, the fact that they understand the nutrition and the sleep pattern and that has changed. They're just more in tune with their body, so they've gotten better there. And training philosophy, basically the only training philosophy in the 34 years since I've been doing this has changed. It's gone from hard, easy to hard, moderate, easy. And if you look at the science of that, that's why they've gotten faster and they've gotten better. Point in case, Patrick Lee ran the second fastest 10,000 meter time in my career 2 weeks ago. And we've had a couple All-Americans at Division II in the 10,000. So for him to be able to do that just shows, A. Shaw ran the third fastest 1,500 time in under me. And so, yeah, there's no way I would have been able to run with these guys from 85 to 89, what my times were at that time. So
for sure. And speaking of Adam and Patrick, both set records, like you said, at the Phil Eston Challenge. Adam, that catapulted him into national contention now. He broke the NAC record. Talk to me about what those two have done to not just break the records, but in Patrick's case, he annihilated it. Mm-hmm. It was like 17 seconds he shaved off.
Yeah, part of it is experience. And I say that it's not experience at nationals, it's not experience in meets, it's experience within the program, it's experience within the system. And if you talk to the guys who are sophomores or older, they have a pretty good idea what we're doing every day. Short of, is it going to be 5 by kilos or 10 by kilos? Short of, is it going to be 257 or 305? But for the most part, they know what we're doing every day. So that has helped. Specific to Patrick, just being injury free. This is his first year. Freshman year he was hurt in cross country. Freshman year he was hurt in indoor. Freshman year he was hurt in outdoor. He was hurt this indoor season. He's finally healthy. A. Shaw just stepping up. He went from being a middle distance guy to being a distance guy. And I say that like he ran cross country this year for us. He broke 26 minutes. And so he's just taken that to the next step. Those two guys are just on a completely different level right now in terms of their training and where they're at. Unfortunately, this is the last year of COVID. So 22nd in the country in the 10,000 is 29.50. And I just don't think Patrick can shave 50 seconds off. I think he can. I think he'll be there next year. But Adam is right there. I think he's 27th in the country. You're going to get a couple folks that don't declare for the 1,500 because they're in another event and they're focusing on that. And I think he's got a couple seconds left in him. So both of those guys just on a training level are on a completely different level right now, locked in and ready to go.
Speaking of breaking records, let's talk about breaking a bad record. What would you do to fix the Chicago White Sox? Do you think there is a fix?
Jiminy Christmas. Where do I start? I think Reinsdorf has to get out as an owner. He's just there to to help, and it used to be to help the Bulls, and now they're not very good. So I think Jerry has got to step down. I think we got to figure out what we're doing with the front office. I think we got to figure out what we're doing in the dugout. And I got a good friend who's the dugout, the bench coach. So I hate to say that about Cash, but right now I think we're young. It's been a fire sale, but when you get excited that you swept the series, that's bad for a Sox fan, Greg. Because I got to enter my seat Sunday going, hey, we might be able to sweep it. I'm going, oh, we have 9 victories or 8 now. So this podcast doesn't have enough time for you and I to figure out how to fix the White Sox.
Yeah, never in my life did I think I would be yearning for the Ricky Renteria years. But man, it's been a tough slide.
Yes, it has been.
Let's get into the fun segment really quick. We've revamped Raider Rapid Fire, and hopefully we'll let you breathe on these topics a little bit more. Bill, if you were a NASCAR driver, what would your car look like? Color, sponsor, number? What do you take in the track in?
Color would be like a black, like Dale Earnhardt.
Okay.
3 would be my number, not
Okay.
because of Dale Earnhardt, but that's the number my wife wore in volleyball in high school and college, so I got to prop out to her.
Okay.
I'm going old school. Harry Gant, Skull Bandit is my sponsor of the Skull Bandit car.
Nice.
I'm driving a Chevy Monte Carlo.
Hell yeah.
What else was there?
No, that was it. You covered all the bases. That was awesome. That was awesome.
Okay.
If they were going to make a movie about your life, whether it's a comedy, a drama, whatever it might be, what's the one scene that they have to put in your movie?
Oh, man. It depends on what we're rating it. If we're going R, you got to have a Bill Massoels tirade.
Okay.
I've been told those are great. As you know, my son ran for me at St. Joe's, and we reminisce. So a lot of his teammates come back and they go, when you're screaming at us and we know it's not you, we hide because we're laughing and our heads down because we know we see you see us laughing, you're just going to get even more crazy. So I think just from what my former athletes tell me, I think that would probably have to be in the movie.
I look forward to seeing that. I asked Flip this when he came on the program. I was inspired by Mayweather McGregor for this one because Floyd Mayweather came to the ring in that fight, escorted by a young Justin Bieber, Jimmy Kimmel, and the Burger King. If you had a main event heavyweight fight, who would your fight night entourage be?
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Okay,
he's got to be there. Yeah, he would be there. Geez, I that's a tough one. I know Stone Cold would have to be there because it's fight night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
stumped you.
You have stumped me.
Finally.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd have to think about that one. Be a couple fighters because I really like boxing. Like I enjoy watching a good fight. I remember going to see Mike Tyson. I was junior in college and drove home from college because my parents had HBO and had like 9 friends, and we're driving home and my mom's going to make burgers and this is going to be a great night. We sit down and we watch the main event and Tyson knocks out Michael Spinks in 90 seconds. 89, actually.
I think everyone born before me has some sort of story about making gigantic plans for a Mike Tyson fight and the fight ending in about 12 seconds and ruining the whole night. I think everyone has one of them.
He was awesome. He was. I loved watching him fight.
You can't beat him. This one inspired me. We used to go to a restaurant growing up, and they used to have neon signs in the windows, and they used to advertise color TV and real mashed potatoes. And I used to get a kick out of that as a kid. And then as I got older, I realized the socioeconomics behind everything. And I grew a real appreciation for that real mashed potato sign. If we were going to put a neon sign up in your office, whether it's a warning, a mantra, what would your neon sign be?
Be careful what you ask for.
All right. That's a little ominous. Heading into your boss's office.
Yeah.
I like that. Make sure you got exactly what you need to talk about on your mind before going in.
That's right.
All right. And the last one, I'm going to give you 30, 60, however long you want. Just vamp about whatever you want. What do you think needs to be recognized in this world? What do you think needs to be maybe torn down a peg? I'm giving you the floor to talk about what you want to talk about. We're clear now.
growing up, they always said, don't talk politics, don't talk religion. I would really like to see the aisles kind of meet together. You know, if the two best people we have going to run this country are who we have on the Republican and Democratic ticket, something is wrong with this country. Um, I, it's just mind-boggling that we have no statespeople anymore, that they're looking at, let's do what's right for the country, not what's right for my party, not what's right for me, not what's right for me to do. When I don't get elected, I become a lobbyist. It's just infuriating that we don't see what's right for the country, and let's move the country to, and this is the greatest country in the world. And I'll share a story with that. We're at Marquette a couple weeks ago, and national anthem comes on, and the starter looks at me afterwards and goes, "Are you military?" I said, "No, sir." He said, "Well, how you stood makes it look like military." I said, "Well, sir, if I can't stand for 3 minutes for people," and he's a veteran, I said, "for people like you who defended my freedom to say whatever I want, to live in the greatest country in the world, if I can't stay at attention for 3 minutes, something's wrong with me." And that bothers me that we can't figure out. You know, they're both arguing. You see the ads on TV, whether it's Trump or Biden, and not talking about what they're going to do for the country, but what the other guy isn't doing right for the country. Let's figure it out. I'm just done. So I'm done with my rant.
That was profound and not at all what I expected. So that was awesome. We'll get back on topic here. We'll get right back to the record breakers. Jess Alderman earned second team All-American honors at Indoor Nationals. Just continues to re-break her own records. I could say the same thing about her teammate Caitlin Rodman in the distance stuff. What's it like having a couple golden gooses, if you will, who on paper they seemingly can't do anything wrong? They're just knocking it out of the park week after week. But you know, I've been in locker rooms. I know that can motivate a team to do better, and I know that can also, you know, resentment can grow. And people are like, well, they get so much attention. Why are we not getting attention? It kind of really depends. So what have they been like in their successes, and how does that affect the team? Does that bring everyone up?
So because of the sport you play, which was a team sport, and let's be honest, track and cross country is not a team sport, and I put so much emphasis on that, from stretching as a team to team bonding as groups to rooming lists, and not always putting throwers with throwers or distance runners with distance runners. So it motivates us because it's an individual sport, and they're going, well, if they can do it, I can do it. They have handled their success so well. Jessa has not changed one iota since March, and that has kudos to her parents for raising such a wonderful young lady. She has not. You would never know unless you knew that she was an All-American. She just doesn't talk about it. She just goes out and does her work. Same thing with Caitlin. Just, you know, go out and do your job and take care of business. And so they've been great in the locker room. Not certain how that would be in a team sport, you know, because you're an offensive lineman. Man, that running back's getting all the press, and he's rushing for 1,000 yards a year. Yeah, well, if I didn't block for him and didn't open up the hole, the dude's not getting any yards. So it's a little different in my sport. But they have been wonderful. They're just great people, and it comes back to what I define success at, young adulthood to adulthood.
Talk to me a little bit about how ego plays a factor in track. We just talked about that with football, and you have selfless teammates who, you know, give it their 100% all of the time, and they're always grinding. They're always trying to make the team better. And then you have other teammates who, unless the brightest lights are on, they're not showing up. In track, can you really have, for lack of a better term, gamers, people who are just going to show up on meet day, crush it, and then you don't have to worry about them? Is that a thing in track?
Unfortunately, it is, and it annoys the crap out of me. And I learned this. Justin Pugh, shout out to DJ Justin, who's a big-time DJ in Indianapolis. And he was a high hurdler long jumper for me. And obviously he's a DJ, so he's into music. And we're at practice one day, and he's supposed to be long jumping, and he's drumming on the bench. And JP, you going to take any jumps today? No, coach, I'm good. Oh, okay. Well, I need you to go 22.6 on Saturday. Got it, coach. He just keeps drumming along. Doesn't take a jump. Okay. So I'm more than furious. Go to the meet on Saturday. First jump, 22.4. Second jump, 22.8. Looks good. Told you, coach. Okay. And so there's that story. There were two teammates that are still really good friends that I coached at St. Joe's, and one of them Naza had to be on practice. And if his hard practice that week wasn't good, he was going to be poop on Saturday. And Corey was the complete opposite. I wanted Corey to have a terrible workout on Tuesday because all he needed to do was get the reps in, and then he'd knock it out of the park on Saturday. See, unfortunately, there are gamers even in our sport, and that's, I tell recruits this is not a cookie cutter system, and so if I have to make 37 different workouts for a discipline, that's what we're going to do because everybody's different, and this is such a mental sport. Like, you got to be so locked in mentally that I know I have to do that. So yeah, unfortunately, as from a coaching, yeah, there's gamers, and you got to know who they are and just let it go. They don't have a good practice because they don't need it.
Right. That's crazy to me to think about that can happen.
I hate it.
It's wild. Conference coming up this weekend. Assuming expectations are high, give me a preview of where the team stands and what we can expect.
So I wrote down some numbers in anticipation.
Sweet.
For today's talk, right?
Nice.
So at indoor, on the men's side, St. Norbert scored 192.5 points. The Raiders scored 132. That's 60 points.
Yeah.
The women at St. Norbert's, 180.5. Second was 122. We had 97 in fourth. Nothing has changed. We haven't switched semesters. We haven't brought new kids in. So we need to figure out how to bridge 60 points and how to bridge over 80 points. That's a lot of points, Greg.
It is.
So, I'm going in saying St. Norbert, we should just hand them the trophy and move on. I can come back and watch, some baseball or some softball on campus because the meet's over.
Yeah.
They don't run meets on paper. And so if I'm not a betting man, I like my money. But if I were a betting man, I'd say, St. Norbert's is a favorite. They're going to win. And we have our goal meeting tonight, and I'm going to challenge our team to say, we're in the conversation. We've got to step our game up a little bit more than the Knights of St. Norbert's has to. How important is it to you? Are you willing to lay it on the line for 2 days or not? That's up to you. It's Wednesday for our listeners here. We're pretty much done. Friday and Saturday is meet day, so I'm trying to stay out of the way and not get anybody hurt the next 2 days. So, tonight in our goal meeting, that's going to be the message. We are on paper not winning, but we're in the conversation. So we need a couple folks, 2-3 of you, going back to my region days, 2-3 of you to figure it out and bridge some points. But yeah, I think Norbert's is the favorite in both genders, and we'll see what happens.
Let me tell you, that 2-3 regional, that transition was great, but I thought of another question that I'm going to have to sidebar that one. As a coach, going into a goal meeting, like you said, would you rather go in with the mindset of we're the underdog, we have to climb, or would you rather go in with the mindset of we're the favorite, we just need to take care of business, this is ours?
The underdog. Cross country was like, I didn't sleep for a week. My friends in the conference, you could run your B team and win. That's a lot of pressure. I'd rather go in being the hunter than the hunted. Now, I say that I'm not really happy. You know me, Greg. I scored the outdoor conference meet 1 billion times already, and I don't like scoring it saying we're not winning. Now, I think we can win. Anything can happen. You just got to go out and execute. But on paper, I don't like that feeling. But based on those two things, I'd rather go in as the underdog because there's absolutely no pressure on you, and the men and women can just relax and see what happens.
For sure. So we'll get back to the region question. You have roots in Indiana, you've got roots in Illinois, you've got roots in Wisconsin now. Beef sandwich, fried cheese curds, and from what I understand, the Indiana special, fried pork tenderloin sandwich. Rank those 3.
The pork tenderloin sandwich is last because I'm not a pork fan other than bacon.
Okay.
And the beef sandwich is 1. I like cheese curds, but okay. If you're talking about my roots, give me a Chicago-style hot dog any day of the week. Just load it up with everything but chili, and I'm in.
Okay, for sure. If you are getting a beef sandwich, though, how do you like it? Dipped, sweet, sport. What are we doing here?
Dipped.
Dipped?
Gotta go dipped.
Okay, and hot peppers?
Hot peppers. Tons of them.
Okay, thank God. Alrighty, so then as we head into the summer here, you're going to be setting all your athletes free. We've got a lot of athletes around the nation, high schoolers, middle schoolers. They're going into summer break. What piece of advice would you give to all the student athletes before they get these 3 months off?
It'd be 1 and 1A. Take a little break because you need it mentally, physically, emotionally. But when the break's over, make sure you get your work in the summer and come back in the fall ready to go. So take a break. I get that. But don't take too long of a break.
Let me ask you this. As someone whose summer regimens varied across the spectrum from, definitely getting ready to not getting ready at all, when you see kids walk on campus, do you instantly know whether...
Yeah. You can just tell by how they're walking in that first meeting.
Yeah.
And then you just call them out like, you didn't run all summer, did you? No. No. I know I mentioned my son. He would annoy me in the summer, especially on Sundays. He wouldn't do his run on Sunday until about 8:30 at night. And I go, are you going to run? Yeah, I got it. And then he'd go out at 8:30 and just annoyed me. Like, are you going to get your run in? Like I'm a morning person, so I get up and I get that run in, and I know he did it on purpose. I know he's texting his buddies. He's getting married here in a couple months, and his best man was an All-American for us at St. Joe's. And I know he texts Logan, and he texts Brian, and he texts Jake and Mikey, and hey, let's just tell Coach we're going to run at 9:00 at night. It just annoyed the hell out of me. So, yeah.
Which would make sense. I mean, as I get older, I have my youngest brother. He just turned 21 in September, and everything he does has to be so late. Like everything, it's just so why?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
I don't get it. I mean, I don't know. It was never for me as when I was younger. I still don't get it now. So, Coach, thank you for taking the time to join us. How can people help out Raider Athletics as we head into the summer here?
Man, there's so many things to help. Just get our name out there. If you know someone who wants to study engineering or nursing or business or actuarial science, point them our way. It doesn't have to be monetary to help us. Just pointing them our way. Our biggest net revenue is our students. It goes back to when you asked me what my vision is of success. Well, send us those young adults. Let us mold them and mentor them, and we'll take money too. Don't get me wrong. We'll take it. But don't just think of helping us out as monetary. Helping us out is getting our name out there, sending us some young adults, letting them come to campus to see our campus and what we have to offer.
Thanks again for joining me today, Bill, and good luck at conference.
Thanks, Greg. I appreciate it.
Thank you, as always, to Bill for taking the time to join us, and good luck to all our track athletes as they gear up for conference this weekend. You can follow Raider Athletics on YouTube at MSOE Raider Athletics, and you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at MSOE_Raiders. Don't forget to find us on Spotify, too. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow, repost, share, and get the word out to all your Raider friends and family. We want you to be heard. Mention us on social media and tell us what you want to hear about. Go Raiders!